check this out. Basically mounted my own turkey, which is kind of cool. Obviously, it is not the most beautiful mount job in the world. It's not meant to be. This baby is going to get beat up by some toms this spring. I'm going to take you through the whole process on how I did it, so stick around. I'm not a taxidermist. It wasn't too tough. Maybe you can do this too. Let's do it. What's up everybody, Brian Baker here with Hunt Fish Camp. I'm gonna do something I've always wanted to do. I'm gonna skin this turkey and I'm gonna turn it into a turkey decoy. So essentially I'm gonna mount a turkey, but it's not gonna be all that pretty to stick in the living room. It's going to be to attract other turkeys. I'm gonna borax it, flesh it out to get every little piece of meat off I can, of course, and then borax it, and then I'm gonna use the Jake decoy that I use. I don't really like how it looks, and I'm gonna put this over top of that, which I'm gonna spray foam the inside of that to make a foam mold of sorts. We'll see how this goes. So come along with me. Maybe it'll turn out awesome. Maybe it'll fail miserably. Either way, I'll show you what's going on. It's kind of a perfect turkey for it. He's got an old beat up gobbler. He's got kind of a beat up tail already. But yeah, we're gonna turn this to time lapse for the skinning part, because I imagine this is gonna take a little bit and a little bit of effort. Never skinned a turkey. I've skinned out to the breast beam, but never the whole thing. So let's see what happens. Let's rock and roll. Okay, here's what we've got. An inside out turkey. And we gotta take the meat off of that yet too. But we are going to try and remove all the extra little stuff. Put everything together, so to get all the flesh off the wings, everything that I can, and then borax it. And we'll get ready for the next step. So a lot of work to do yet here. All right, I gotta jump in here because there's one very important step that I lost footage on, so I apologize for that. And that is the fleshing and then adding of borax to that turkey skin. So brought it home, remove all the flesh I possibly can, especially the fat, and I cut into the wings, because the wings were removed with the whole thing, so the bones, everything. So I sliced up that and removed as much meat as I possibly could, and then I just piled borax everywhere and rubbed it in. It's just a white powder. I've got a little bit sitting out here. It's that white powder. I rub that in, and it helps preserve everything so it doesn't get rotten, it doesn't smell, any of that. So like, for example, here's a tail. I did this at that same time of year, and it's all dried out now. I'd rubbed that in, and so now it doesn't even smell, and it's good. And so that skin is the same way. Now we're gonna take and get that wrapped around a mold and turn it into an actual decoy. It's gonna be cool. And now I've got two options that I'm gonna try here. I need a mold to put the skin over top of, to pin it, to make it all look good. And so I've got that Jake decoy that I currently use, which I think I'm gonna end up using the head of. So I'm gonna end up destroying it anyway, but it's a harder plastic. It's gonna be hard to pin through. And so I am going to use one of these really old foam ultralight decoys, and I'm gonna fill it with spray foam to give it something more solid, and then this should be really easy to pin through. It's also a little smaller, which I prefer my end result to be slightly smaller. I don't want it to be overpoweringly dominant looking. A little bit smaller would be better, I think. So we're gonna try spraying and filling this with spray foam, and we'll end up with some sort of a turkey mold, and then we'll try this, and we'll try the other, and we'll see if it works. But before I get the skin out of the freezer and finish that up, I wanna make sure I have all my options. So let's try this out and see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna use some big gap filler spray foam up to 3 inches, and I'm gonna try and fill a 16-inch gap and a giant hole. It doesn't have to be perfect, because it's gonna be within there. It really just needs to give everything some shape and something for me to pin to. So see what happens with this. Not really sure what to expect here. All right, so I have added what is going to be layer number 1 of the spray foam. I have 2 cans. It's too much of a gap to really try and do it all at one time, so I basically filled a half layer. We'll see how much that expands, and we'll try and fill everything else. So you can see what I got going on here. Sprayed it. I put a can here and a box of zebra cakes, because I want that tail to be a little flatter. I'll likely end up cutting the tail off anyway, of the decoy part here, because I shouldn't need it, but we'll give that an hour or two here, let that expand and solidify a little bit. The head doesn't have anything in it, but I'm gonna end up cutting off the head anyway, because I'll need a better looking head, because obviously head, not gonna cut it. Yeah, this is a disaster. I have a whole bunch of little projects going on here. So it's actually a whole, almost a year later, I had skinned out the gobbler that I shot. I put it in the freezer, and now it's finally, things are starting to warm up, and so I can work in the garage, which is nice. And so I did a couple things I'm gonna experiment with here. One is I took our super old foam Decoy, I filled it with spray foam. It's kind of lumpy and weird. It's a hen, it's gonna cut off her head. And so I'm gonna see, because this will be a smaller frame to put that on, I'd rather it be a slightly smaller looking Decoy than extra large. And the other thing is, so the Jake Decoy that I like but I don't like, is pretty decent. So if this ends up, the hen ends up being too small, that's spray foam, then I'll use this and I'll pin the feathers to that. In either case, this guy's gonna lose his head because I'm gonna be taking this head off to use as my mount. I looked into purchasing a head, but it's gonna be expensive. This is a decoy I don't particularly like anyway, for whatever reason. Whenever I use it, birds don't seem to like it very much. It always, they'll come to it, but they just don't seem to like it a lot. So I'm willing to destroy it for this project. So let's get out the, we've had out our turkey hide, and it's been thawing out. It's nice and flexible now, so we're going to put it on these and see what it looks like. So much borax everywhere. And this decoy is already destroyed anyway, so I could just cut off the head right now, I think. But the bigger concern is I don't want this to destroy my hide that I got here. That was gonna be so funny. Be hilarious when this is all done, I think. Interestingly, so even using this hen decoy that I put some spray foam in that I thought was gonna be too small, she's definitely on the big side. Her chest is a little too big for the neck section of that hide, so I'm trying to kind of stretch it down, though it's not too bad. It's a little weirdly low, and I'll have to figure out getting that other head. I plan to cut her head off, or open at least, and I'll pop that head over top of this and maybe put some spray foam in there to give me something to pin to. Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. And just got enough tail, got enough of everything that to look like a partially strutting bird. I have to get a stake on here and put it on a stand. So I'm just gonna start kind of pinning stuff. I can always pull the pins out and see. I just want to get things kind of situated here, wherever I can get them. Okay, it is pinned. Is it perfect? Yes, yes it is. Okay, it's as perfect as I expected it might come out, I guess. So one thing I didn't do, which I think like a taxidermist would do, is actually wash the whole thing, and they probably should have done that, but there's a lot of like random bits. But once I put the head on, it'll look like a scruffy gobbler, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Got him into kind of this quarter strut pose, just lots of pinning. Anytime there's a loose spot, just got pinning. And the hope is this kind of dries into this position. So I'm gonna set it up on a bucket and just let it sit. And I've got a month before turkey season, but we're gonna get the head on next, which is gonna be a really interesting thing because I think it's gonna look really funny with the head. But we'll see. That might require some spray foaming and things and other stuff to get that secure, but let's see. Here we go. Look at that. I cannot gobble at all for the life of me. So a couple things. This really wasn't all that hard. I've been doing this for the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. I've been dinking around with it, and he's just pinned together. So if I was going to do this again, which I might, we'll see how this holds up. So I could take this head off, fill that with some spray foam or something that I can actually put a stake into, and then slip the whole thing on. I might still take that off and do that, just so I don't have the pins exposed. I'm going to add a little bit of paint to them, just match them with where they're at so they're not silver and shiny. But I'm just going to take a stake, stick it up in there so that he's ready to go. For now, I'm just gonna I'm gonna get him situated somewhere where he can just sit and dry, and hopefully fully dry out. He's got some long beard here. Actually, I haven't measured all the way to the end of that, but a few extra super long ones, which is kind of cool. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Like, it really wasn't too difficult. I'm not a taxidermist by any means, and it's been kind of fun just messing around with it. So mostly just curious to see if these real feathers will do something. I will post some videos, so I'm gonna post this, a how-to kind of thing, before turkey season here, but then during turkey season I'll be using this obviously, and so be watching for some videos and we'll see how this works. So I will be putting him out probably every time I go out, just because it'd be really cool to see if something comes up, and how they react to this bird that looks a little more realistic than the decoy that I had before. So pretty excited about it. Hopefully we get some cool action from that. So okay, if you have any tips for me, definitely add into the comments things. If you've done stuff like this before, let me know. I will probably do another one because it really wasn't too tough, and it's been kind of a fun little project, and so it'd be neat to do some more. Maybe I'll spend a little more money on parts and things and make something that looks a little more natural or a little more real in the end. But for literally the borax is the only thing I bought. I guess the T-pins. I bought T-pins. Those are the only two things I actually had to buy for this. So the decoy head came off an old decoy that wasn't super old. I still used him, but I never really liked it anyway, and so didn't have to spend anything there. So this is one kind of amazingly realistic thing for is what it cost me. Obviously, you got to shoot a bird first, but yeah, pretty cool deal. If you've done it, let me know how yours went, how it turned out, what should I expect, and if I do it again, when I do it again, let me know. What should I do differently? Awesome. Get out there, get yourself a turkey. Okay, I don't know where to put this one. Gotta chop it off her head. Hilarious thing ever heard.